Welcome to Lit Sports Online. We're here to do a long overdue UFC recap.
Way long overdue, dude. It's been a while since you've been on the table.
Yeah, it's been about a month due to scheduling issues and plans and other things, but we're back.
Here we are.
2 videos this week. Recap of some of the things that I missed and just have to
talk about. Get
off my chest. And then a preview video of this weekend's UFC 242 unification of the lightweight title bout. Khabib versus Poirier. Look for that.
Let's get down to it.
So, where are we starting, Gerald?
We're going to start off with Holloway versus Edgar at UFC 240. Max Holloway retained the featherweight title via decision.
He did. And it was very, very impressive.
It was a dominant win.
Frankie Edgar is a legend of the sport. Like, already Hall of Famer. He's beaten a Hall of Famer multiple times in BJ Penn to take the lightweight title. He is challenged for the 45-pound title at featherweight. I think this is his third shot at the belt. He's a monster. He is never more than 1 or 2 fights away from the title shot in whatever weight class he's in. His name is that good. His skills are that good. He's one of the most well-rounded guys in the game. One of my favorite people to watch. His work rate's crazy. His toughness and grit is just insane. He has always been fighting bigger guys. And I think he's going to drop another weight class. I think he's going to go down to bantamweight at 135. Where Henry Cejudo is already talking shit because he's cringy as all hell these days. But back to Holloway winning. It was a dominant performance. It was the type of performance you want to see from a guy who just came off of a title shot at a weight class up. So he went up 10 pounds to challenge for the interim title against Dustin Poirier. And he lost that fight. We did a recap for that a while back. And I think looking at that, featherweight's probably his weight class unless he goes up, actually goes up and puts on some weight. But this is an amazing performance against a super high caliber, super high value name in Frankie Edgar. And you could not have asked for a better performance out of Max Holloway, man. He just, everything was on point. His striking was on point, cutting the angles, just his pace was on point. Like I said, it was exactly the type of performance you want when you're coming off of your first loss in a long time.
Yeah. And again, like you said, the lightweight title will be unified this weekend, so that's exciting.
Weekend, Dustin Poirier versus Khabib, and I will get into that in a different video.
That is coming soon.
That is an amazing fight.
So next up, we had Cris Cyborg defeating Felicia Spencer via decision.
Yeah.
And, it was another dominant win to come back from the featherweight title loss to Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, so Cyborg lost her first MMA fight in a long time against, now pound for pound champ status Amanda Nunes, who is the champion of both 145 and 135 in the women's divisions. And, no shame in losing to Amanda Nunes, and Cyborg came back and fought a woman who is very highly touted because she's had a lot of amazing performances, a lot of finishes. She's a really, really fantastic grappler. But I think, so first off, she still has like a full-time job outside of fighting. I think she's a teacher. And
that's impressive.
Yeah, and as bad as it sounds, she carries a little extra weight as compared to a lot of professional fighters that you see, and so I think she's undersized for Cyborg. I don't think she needs to be in the 145-pound division. She's been doing phenomenally in this division. This is her first loss, but when you come up against somebody like a Cyborg or Jermaine Durandame or a Megan Anderson, who is a true 145-pounder, that little bit of extra weight that you're carrying
will slow you down,
as opposed to like the real size advantage, will start to hurt you. And it was an amazing performance by Spencer. I do not think her stock drops. In fact, I think it goes up. She's one of the few women who was actually able to survive a fight with Cyborg and go to a decision. And she looked good. She had her moments where she was controlling the fight. Her strategy was good. It was just that Cyborg is too strong, too good a striker, and too experienced for Spencer, and was able to just kind of, enact her game plan and will her way to the victory.
So next up, UFC on ESPN 5, we saw Covington defeating Lawler via decision.
Yeah. unfortunate.
How about that very dominant one?
So you know Colby Covington?
Yeah.
The guy who wears a MAGA hat and talks about Trump all the time.
Yeah.
He calls everybody virgins and like his whole game these days is just to be like
the biggest asshole.
He's playing. He's a heel.
Yeah, like kind of like a WWE textbook
WWE heel, right?
Yeah.
And it's how he's selling tickets, right? It's how he's getting the numbers, which makes me laugh because first off, I don't like his public persona.
Yeah.
I think it's very crass and he makes me angry. That's not why I watch him fight. And also, it's funny to me that he constantly boasts about his ticket sales and numbers, and this was like the lowest viewed ESPN fight in a long time. Even though fan favorite Robbie Lawler was standing opposite him. The reason I like Colby Covington is because he's an amazing fighter. His pace is insane. He threw over 500 punches in that fight. I'm pretty sure he set a record for most punches thrown in a fight. He throws a punch an average of less than 2 seconds apart.
Jeez.
A strike.
This is a pure strike.
No, he's a fantastic wrestler and grappler. What he does is his work rate, his pressure is he just walks forward. He puts pressure on you. He constantly throws shots. He never throws full power shots. He constantly throws half or 75% powered shots just to keep busy and keep you thinking about something. He's constantly throwing jabs. He's constantly throwing push kicks. He's constantly throwing snap kicks. He's constantly changing levels. He's just making you guess all the time, and he never lets you rest.
Wow.
And Robbie Lawler is one of the scariest dudes you can imagine. His highlight reel is insane, and he likes to counter strike these days. He likes to roll with the punches and get shots off and get power shots in those tight kind of transitioning spaces and up in a close striking range where he can land bombs. He waits for somebody to make a mistake, for somebody to leave an opening where he can land a giant shot. And Covington is a technical striker. His work rate is so crazy and his pressure is so crazy that he just does not leave those openings. And he just completely shut down Robbie Lawler's game. Robbie Lawler, who we've seen be in these back and forth just active wars against Carlos Condit and Rory McDonald and all these crazy fights, but Colby Covington, his level changes were too much. Lawler just was constantly guessing as to what was going to happen. He was never quite ready for the takedown. Yeah. And Covington was just so active and so busy that Lawler had no space to get comfortable with his striking game and actually get off shots. It was an amazing performance by Colby Covington, and he's going to fight Kamaru Usman next in what promises to be an amazing fight. There's some real animosity there, which we saw right after the fight in the post-fight interview when he went up to the desk and Kamaru Usman's one of the analysts up there. It was not pretty cringeworthy. Neither guy's super good at talking shit. Colby Covington is, like I said, I don't like his persona. By all accounts, he's a great dude behind the scenes, and he's just doing this to. He's an entertainer. Yeah. His first job is to be an entertainer and to sell tickets and get interest, and that's what he's doing, and it's working. Not for me. For me, I'm interested because he's an amazing fighter, and it's astounding to watch him do what he does.
And next up at UFC 241, we have Stipe Miocic defeating Daniel Cormier via round 4 KO TKO.
Yep,
that happened.
You hate to see.
You just hate.
I hate. Cormier is such a likable guy. He's a great analyst. He's great on podcasts. He's great on the desk. He's a good dude. And you hate to see him lose, but you love to see a guy like Stipe win. Stipe is, to this day, an active duty firefighter in Cleveland.
That's awesome.
Just an all-around good dude. Never really talked a lot of shit. Just worked his way up, and his resume is amazing. Wins over the biggest names in the sport. The most consecutive heavyweight title defenses of any title holder in heavyweight history. And now he's the two-time champ that came back and beat the guy that took the belt from him in the next fight.
Wow.
Fantastic for Stipe. Cormier looked good in the fight. He looked to be winning. He was able to take Stipe down, was getting a little bit better at the striking exchanges, but showed, no respect for Stipe's power.
Yeah.
Was just kind of walking forward, not covering up a lot, just eating shots so that he could throw his own, And eventually, in the fourth round, Stipe came out and switched it up a little bit. He had the mental fortitude in that, heated moment of being in the middle of a fist fight on a big pay-per-view card, had the wherewithal to think to himself, I remember when Anderson Silva front kicked Daniel Cormier in the gut.
That's
and
insane.
Folded him. I'm going to try a body shot. So Stipe out of nowhere just started throwing hooks to the body and catching Cormier.
Ooh.
And apparently they did the trick. Caught him with some hooks.
That's genius.
Caught him with some hooks to the body and was able to TKO Cormier in the fourth round and get him out of there. And regain his title.
Wow.
As the baddest man on the planet. And, Cormier says in the post-fight he has a lot of regrets in not listening to his corner. All of his coaches and his teammates were saying, wrestle. Go back, take him down, wrestle. Why are you striking with him? He has power. You know this. But Cormier just didn't do it. He just wanted to strike and for whatever reason kept striking and ended up paying the price. But unfortunate performance by, all-around good dude and, one of the four champs in history, Daniel Cormier, one of the four people to hold two belts in two weight classes simultaneously. So earned his place in the Hall of Fame in the history books, but sad to see him go out. I think the plan for him in a lot of senses was to win that fight and retire in the octagon. His whole family was there for the first time in a while. I think he was going to go out with that victory, but this might change it a bit. We might see the trilogy fight. A lot of people are just telling him to retire anyway. He's a little older. He hasn't taken a lot of damage, so you might as well get out. Mind fully intact. You're healthy. You've already proven everything you need to prove. Just go out. Why take more shots?
Don't mess yourself up anymore.
For a competitor the level of Cormier, who went to the Olympics and everything, there's
you're
you
well
want to go out on top.
Good, yeah.
But I understand why he would want to stay in and get that last win.
From
Nobody
a competitor's point of view.
But phenomenal career, phenomenal win for Stipe. Unfortunate for Cormier, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, seriously. But next up, Nate Diaz, after a 3-year layoff, won his match against Anthony Pettis. This fight.
Yeah. And it was a great performance. I was just glad to see Nate Diaz back in the octagon, man. Fan favorite.
Yeah.
Badass. Smoking joints, CBD at the open workouts. Came back and beat Anthony Pettis, who is looking great at welterweight. He doesn't have to cut weight anymore. He's enjoying being at that weight class. He knocked out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who's one of the trickiest fighters in the UFC to fight. He's one of the craftiest strikers, one of the hardest matchups for anybody. And Pettis knocked him out, and then Diaz came back and did the damn thing, Diaz just did Diaz.
He did Diaz.
And I'm super glad to see him back. I would love to see the trilogy fight with Conor. I think Diaz is one of the biggest superstars in the sport right now, especially if he keeps fighting and keeps staying in the media. I think he will make a ton of money, and I'm super pumped to have him back because he's a fantastic character for the lightweight or welterweight division and a fantastic fighter, and he's super fun to watch.
Definitely. Next up, you have Costa versus Romero, where Costa won. Very close decision. Slightly controversial, though.
Yeah, there was a lot of people thought it should have gone Yoel Romero's way. It was a like a knockdown, drag-out fight. It was a war the whole time, but it's a fantastic win for Paulo Costa. A guy who's kind of... He's got a lot of power and he's got a good striking game, but it's one of those dudes who lands big shots, and so to a certain point you wonder, is he getting lucky with these shots or what? But a win over Yoel Romero is as good a win as you can possibly get. Two of Yoel Romero's last, I think 4 fights have been for the title against Robert Whittaker. Wow. Dude is an absolute monster. This fight was first team, all bodied up, If you were going to pick one of two dudes in the UFC to, have it would be one of those two dudes. They look like Captain America. It's insane. And they're just freaks. But It's a fantastic win for Paulo Costa and immediately puts him in the conversation for the title shot at middleweight. Anytime you beat Yoel Romero, you are in that conversation. And this was Paulo Costa's first real big top-tier test, and he passed. So all of a sudden we're looking at a Paulo Costa title shot for the first time ever instead of, which is almost good, because otherwise we're sitting here going, I guess Yoel Romero fights Whitaker for a third time, even though he lost twice. I don't know. So, almost best case scenario, but still a great performance for Yoel Romero. I don't think he's going anywhere. That dude is a freak and can beat up anybody on any given night.
And next up, in UFC Fight Night 157, history was made. Andrade versus Zhang. He won via 42-second TKO, the first ever Asian-born Chinese UFC champ.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Weili Zhang beat Jessica Andrade for the title in 42 seconds, which is surprising by a lot of people's estimations. You know, Andrade is a powerhouse for that division and is known to be the knockout artist, and Zhang just came in and caught Andrade slipping and was able to get her out of there really quickly. And like we said, first ever Asian-born UFC champ, Chinese UFC champ, which is great.
Yeah,
especially because they've been making such an effort to like go into China as a country these days and been bringing in more fighters and everything. And so for them to have a champion, I think is fantastic. I think she's going to be a huge star. She's super entertaining. She's an interesting personality, even with kind of hard time communicating with the American fan base. She's just super entertaining, and I think is going to make a great champ. And it's always exciting to me when you see these things, you know, expanding past the typical places that your high caliber fighters come from. You know, Canada, USA, England, Brazil, those four countries. And for the most part, in Asian countries, we've mostly seen Japanese fighters because of the acquisition of Pride back in the day. So now to see high-profile Korean and Chinese fighters and other things is just super exciting.
That is exciting.
You know, she's forever in the history books now.
Yeah.
As
no matter what she does from here on, she is historic. That's awesome.
I think it's fantastic, and an amazing win over an incredibly tough champ. And I think this is really interesting for the title picture in that division. I think, you know, Rose Namajunas maybe wouldn't get the shot against Andrade after Andrade slammed her and knocked her out. You know, Andrade has already lost to Ioana Jędrzejczyk, so it introduces more matchups and new matchups, and it's just very exciting. I think that she matches up really interestingly against particularly those two women that I just mentioned, one of which will probably fight for the title next. You know, Rose was the champ and lost her last fight, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities for her to get an immediate rematch with or shot for the title. But also, Jędrzejczyk is about to fight the karate hottie Michelle Waterson, so whoever wins that fight is for sure in a title shot. And either woman, I think, would be a fantastic matchup with Zhang, and I would love to see it. And I'm just really, you know, I'm excited for this division. I was excited for this division when Jędrzejczyk was running the ship with an iron fist, but it's almost more exciting to see the title changing hands a lot and having cool matchups. So it's a fun time to be a fan of women's MMA.
It really is. I think the women's revolution across all sports nowadays, you know, it's been really exciting to see this insurgence in the sport. So it's really fucking awesome. So yeah, congratulations to Zhang. I'm excited to see where she goes for her career. That's awesome.
Me too.
So yeah, that does it for our show tonight. There's one more episode coming, so stay tuned for that.
UFC 242 preview.
Yes, a preview show, and we will, so be prepared for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned.
So you mean they were reasonable people?
Yes, they were very reasonable people. Wow. It was very eye-opening. Wow. And now here we are.
Being reasonable is tight. Wow. Wow. Wow.
You ever see the Star Wars video where all the lightsaber effects are replaced with Owen Wilson saying wow?
Have you seen the John Wick one when all the gunshots are replaced with wow? It's awesome.
That's probably amazing. I have not seen that.
Oh my god.